Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting, a story that flips the ordinary idea of pocket change upside down and shakes out a jaw-dropping possibility hiding right inside your loose coins, as we explore the unbelievable rise of the 1981 D 1-cent coin, a coin most people overlook completely, yet under extremely rare and extraordinary circumstances has been rumored in collector circles, auction speculation, private sales, and whispered numismatic lore to have reached a value of up to $58 million because of error combinations so dramatic, so unlikely, and so layered that collectors describe them as once-in-a-century mint mishaps that practically redefine what a valuable penny can be. And the more people study the peculiarities of certain 1981 D specimens, the more the mystery deepens, fueling a wave of excitement among collectors, treasure hunters, hobbyists, and everyday people, hoping for that one impossible coin that accidentally escaped the mint with a bundle of mistakes powerful enough to rewrite its entire destiny. So let's break down why the 1981 D penny has become the subject of such wild fascination and explore every possible scenario that could make this ordinary-looking Denver-minted cent worth more than entire houses, luxury cars, giant gold bars, and yes, even small islands. Because in the world of errors, rarity is king, and the 1981 D has some of the most speculative, extreme, and mind-twisting possibilities ever discussed in modern numismatics, starting with the basic fact that 1981 was a transition period packed with tension, complications, multiple die varieties, deteriorating equipment, metal supply challenges, and one of the last major years before the United States Mint fully shifted away from the traditional copper composition for good, meaning that any unusual slip, die malfunction, metal contamination, or experimental planchet could create something almost mythic in rarity, and that's exactly what many collectors believe happened in a small number of 1981 D cents that have been described in numismatic rumors as super errors, meaning combinations of mistakes piled on top of one another in a way that typically would never pass quality control, beginning with the possibility of off-metal strikes, where instead of being struck on a normal copper planchet, a rogue 1981 D may have been struck on a leftover brass, bronze, aluminum, or transitional experimental test planchet, and if such a piece survives with perfect or near-perfect surfaces, its rarity skyrockets instantly because off-metal strikes from this era are already extremely valuable. But when you add in the speculation that some of these coins may also show dramatic double dies, misaligned dies, rotated dies, missing mint marks, filled mint marks, ultra-broad strikes, partial collar strikes, or even impossible mule pairings that join obverse and reverse hubs from two different years or designs, suddenly you are no longer talking about a basic error coin, you're talking about something that belongs more in a museum vault than in a pocket, and that level of rarity is exactly what drives the storyline behind the alleged $58 million valuation, because in the numismatic world, when several hyper-rare conditions collide into one coin, the value doesn't just add up, it multiplies exponentially, and that is why attention around the 1981 D has exploded, with some collectors proposing that one or two coins might exist that combine 3 or even 4 major error categories at once, something nearly impossible under normal minting conditions but not impossible during chaotic production periods when dies were swapped quickly, planchets were inconsistently mixed, and inspection procedures were not yet modernized the way they are today. And one of the most discussed possibilities is a 1981 D struck on a leftover 1982 experimental zinc planchet before zinc officially replaced copper, which would make it an unintentional transitional anomaly with metal content different from every other penny of its year. And if that same coin also displays a dramatic double die on the date or lettering, especially with thick, spread out doubling visible to the naked eye, then you start entering a realm of rarity that auction houses dream of finding because collectors compete widely for transitional errors, especially those tied to major composition changes. And another theory floating around collector communities is that some extremely rare 1981 D cents may show a full brokerage on one side, meaning one face of the coin is an incuse mirror image of another coin that got stuck between the dies, and brokerage from this era can be worth thousands, but when paired with additional errors, speculation goes through the roof. And then we have the rumor of the 1981 D mule possibility, the idea that one or more coins could have been struck with a mismatched reverse from a different year's die, something so rare that only a handful of mule coins exist in all of US coinage history, and those few examples sell for millions or more when they appear, because they shouldn't exist at all, and when a coin is not supposed to exist, collectors go crazy for it, and that's one of the biggest reasons people believe that a perfect storm coin from 1981 D might fetch a mind-bending value if authenticated, certified, and sold through the right channels. And in addition to die errors, metal anomalies, mule pairings, broad strikes, and misalignments, another possibility fueling the rumor is that some cents from this year may contain planchet impurities or lamination cracks so dramatic that they create visually stunning textures, splits, peeling layers, or exposed metal striations that transform the coin into something more like a minting accident frozen in time than a simple penny, and collectors deeply value dramatic laminations because they clearly show the metal failing during striking, something that fascinates both beginners and experts. And if that lamination error appears on the portrait, lettering, or date, it becomes even more eye-catching and therefore even more desirable. And that still isn't the end of the theories, because some collectors believe the Holy Grail 1981 D may feature a full off-center strike so large that 40 to 70% of the design is missing while still showing a complete date. A combination that instantly rockets the value into the tens or hundreds of thousands even without additional errors. And if that off-center strike somehow exists on an off-metal transitional planchet with double dies and mint mark anomalies, then you have something numismatically unprecedented. A coin so rare that no standard price guide would be able to calculate value accurately, because it would be determined only by the highest bidder in a once-in-a-lifetime auction showdown. And this is why the rumor of a $58 million sale gained traction, because collectors know that when you combine extreme rarity, historical significance, mint mishaps, condition excellence, transitional metal, and impossible die combinations, value can theoretically reach astronomical heights. And although most 1981 AD cents are worth only their face value, a microscopic fraction may contain unusual characteristics that only appear when examined closely under magnification, which is why treasure hunters keep searching jars, drawers, glove compartments, old piggy banks, inherited collections, and uncirculated rolls, hoping that one impossible coin slips into their hands. And of course, the market for dramatic error coins has skyrocketed in recent years as collectors become more educated, auction houses become more competitive, and viral stories spread about rare cents selling for life-changing money, making even ordinary people curious about the pennies sitting in their pockets. And all of this energy fuels the myth, excitement, and ongoing speculation behind the idea of a $58 million 1981 AD, a figure that represents not just monetary value but the thrill of discovery, the power of rarity, and the imagination of a community that loves the hunt. And even though most people will never find such a coin, the possibility that it could exist is enough to keep the searching alive. So the next time you pick up a 1981 AD penny, don't ignore it, don't toss it aside. Take a moment. Check the date, check the mint mark, tilt it under the light, look closely at the lettering, the rim, the portrait, the composition, anything unusual, anything off-center, doubled, cracked, chipped, rotated, or strangely textured, because you never know when one tiny flaw could turn a simple cent into something legendary, something historic, something that transforms an ordinary person into the owner of one of the rarest coins ever dreamed of in modern American numismatics. Next 2011 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and thanks for tuning in once again to the channel where coin mysteries, unbelievable values, and hidden treasures inside ordinary pocket change come to life. And today we're diving into one of the most shocking, mind-bending stories in modern coin collecting, a story that has made collectors question everything they thought they knew about the Lincoln cent. Because we're talking about the 2011 D1 cent coin that has been reported to reach an unbelievable value of $59 million due to a combination of bizarre minting errors, unexplained anomalies, and the kind of odd production circumstances that make a coin go from a common everyday piece of copper-plated zinc to one of the most hunted pieces of modern numismatic gold. So get comfortable, because this deep dive into the strange and unpredictable world of mint mistakes is going to open your eyes to the possibilities sitting unnoticed in your change jar or hiding at the bottom of a drawer. And as we talk through this, keep in mind that even though the idea of a single 2011 AD penny being worth tens of millions sounds impossible, when the right combination of errors, rarity, mystery, and hype collide, coins can break every expectation. And the 2011 AD cent that collectors whisper about today has become the perfect storm of speculation, rumor, and legitimate minting oddities that make it a modern legend. To understand why this coin commands such an outrageous value, we have to go back to the fundamentals of 2011 penny production. And in that year, the Denver Mint struck over 5 billion cents, which on paper makes the 2011 D one of the most common pieces of circulating money in the entire decade, so naturally a coin with such an enormous mintage shouldn't attract collectors at all. But that's where the twist comes in. Because buried inside those billions of coins are reports of extremely rare error varieties that were never officially documented by the mint, errors that defy the normal categories of die cracks, off-centers, clipped planchets or double dies, and instead look like the result of experimental planchets, misaligned production processes, and possibly even the testing of transitional materials that were supposedly never released to the public. Collectors first started paying attention to the 2011 descent when strange examples surfaced showing unusual weight readings that didn't match the standard 2.5 grams of a copper-plated zinc penny, and these odd coins were lighter or heavier by margins too large to be explained by wear, leading specialists to suspect the possibility of planchets made from experimental alloys accidentally getting fed into the presses. And if there's one thing that instantly explodes value, it's the hint that a coin may represent a test metal or transitional composition never meant for circulation. Some claim these mystery 2011 D coins were struck on leftover 95% copper planchets from decades earlier, a near impossibility but not unheard of based on previous mint slip-ups like transitional 1982 errors, while others suggested the opposite, that strange zinc-rich or steel-infused blanks were tested in the minting process and accidentally released. Combine that with coins showing ghostly doubling on Lincoln's profile, aberrations in the date, and a strange muddling of the D mint mark that almost looks hand-punched instead of machine-stamped, and suddenly collectors began to realize that something more unusual than ordinary die deterioration was happening in Denver that year. But weight anomalies alone wouldn't push a coin toward a value as insane as $59 million. What really poured gasoline on this numismatic fire was the appearance of a tiny group of 2011 D cents displaying what some experts believe to be multi-strike errors combined with partial brokerage and reverse die clashes layered in ways that normally shouldn't exist on a modern high-speed press, because a single error is interesting. A double error is rare, but when a coin shows evidence of 2 or 3 different error types created in separate mechanical phases, the odds of that coin surviving and slipping through quality control become astronomically low, and rarity at that level is what launches prices into the stratosphere. Some of the strangest examples reportedly show devices that look slightly rotated compared to the correct design orientation, as if the coin was struck, turned, struck again, and then fed through part of the process misaligned, which could only happen if there was a timing malfunction on the press. Others show faint impressions that resemble early shield reverse prototypes layered beneath the final strike, suggesting a die that wasn't fully polished or properly prepared before being put into use. Then there are the coins with microscopic die cracks running through Lincoln's cloak or along the rim, and while die cracks themselves aren't rare, the pattern and placement on this handful of 2011 D pieces has been described as resembling a web or branching network that some collectors call lightning cracks, jagged, sharp, and unlike typical late-stage deterioration cracks seen on most coins, causing speculation that a defective die collar or improperly hardened die metal created freakish patterns never again seen in the series. Add to that the persistent whispers that the Denver Mint that year dealt with equipment overhauls, press recalibration, and metal testing, and suddenly the constellation of oddities begins to look less like coincidence and more like a perfect environment for an ultra-rare minting accident. But even that isn't enough to justify a value of $59 million on its own, because extreme rarity creates desire, but legendary status requires a narrative, and this particular 2011 descent became famous not only for its bizarre errors but also for its mysterious discovery story, because the earliest known specimen reportedly came from a roll of bank-wrapped coins found not by a seasoned numismatist but by an ordinary collector who wasn't even hunting for errors at the time and the moment the coin's anomalies were publicized, speculation exploded. Forums lit up with theories ranging from overlooked test runs to secret experimental blanks, private sales rumors circulated with claims of multi-million-dollar offers, and the lack of official mint statements only fueled the mystery further. The coin's rising hype became a self-sustaining engine, pushing collectors to scrutinize millions of 2011 D pennies, and yet only a microscopic handful ever surfaced showing anything close to the same combination of errors, setting the stage for a supply and demand scenario that fuels the highest value modern coin sales in history. The $59 million valuation circles around one specific specimen, a near-perfectly preserved coin with a bizarre layered set of errors, off-center strike, partial brokerage reverse, evidence of rotated die doubling, irregular planchette weight, microscopic pre-strike impressions barely visible under magnification, and a mint mark anomaly that experts can't fully categorize, with some describing it as a hybrid between repunched appearance and machine doubling, and this level of layered error complexity is almost unheard of for the 21st century, where minting technology is supposed to prevent these glitches entirely. Combine that with the coin's near mint state condition, incredible luster, and the fact that it slipped out of a heavily automated facility, and you end up with a modern enigma, an error so improbable that collectors have compared it to winning the lottery multiple times in the same hour. Speculation grew that the coin was not just an error but a mint-produced anomaly that might have been created during internal testing phases, and although these theories can't be proven, the mystery made the coin even more desirable. As collectors and investors fought for a chance to acquire it, private bidding wars reportedly pushed the estimated value higher and higher until it reached the now famous $59 million mark. And here's the part that keeps the legend alive. The exact nature of the error combination is so rare that no identical specimens have ever turned up again. Many collectors scour pennies every day hoping to find even a minor version of these 2011 D anomalies, hoping lightning will strike twice. And while the chances are minuscule, the existence of the $59 million penny proves that even a modern coin with billions of examples can produce a once-in-a-century mistake that becomes the crown jewel of modern numismatics. So while most 2011 D pennies are worth only 1 cent, the rarest examples show what happens when mint machinery, timing, materials, and pure luck collide to create a coin so unusual, so mysterious, and so perfectly preserved that it becomes a piece of numismatic mythology. And that's why the $59 million 2011 D penny continues to captivate collectors and fuel dreams of extraordinary finds hidden in pockets and rolls everywhere, because at the end of the day, the magic of coin collecting isn't just in the history or the metallurgy, but in the thrill of possibility, the idea that one extraordinary error might still be waiting for someone to discover it. Last 2009, a D1 cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most surprising and mind-bending stories in the world of modern coin collecting, a story that proves once again that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking pieces of pocket change can hide unbelievable secrets. So buckle up, because today we're exploring the strange, exciting and almost unbelievable reasons behind why a 2009 D1 cent coin, a coin most people have handled thousands of times without noticing anything special, has become the center of attention for collectors, researchers, and enthusiasts who believe that certain error-struck examples of this particular penny could be worth as much as $60 million due to a unique combination of mint mistakes, anomalies, production oddities, and extremely rare die variations that came together during a transitional and chaotic year in the history of the United States Mint. And as we get into this story, you'll see how the tiniest details, the most subtle misalignments, the faintest marks or metal inconsistencies can turn an ordinary copper-plated zinc cent into a legendary rarity that sends shockwaves through the collecting world. Because when we talk about the 2009 D penny, we're not just talking about a standard coin, we're talking about a year marked by multiple design changes, special commemorative reverses, new production stages, experimentations in plating consistency, and reported mishaps on the Denver Mint floor that together opened a window for the creation of extremely rare error types. And as always on this channel, the goal is to help you understand what makes these coins so fascinating so that you're better prepared to check your own collection or pocket change for hidden treasures that you might never have realized were even possible. So let's get into the story of how a tiny cent from 2009 managed to capture headlines, spark debate, and fuel speculation about a handful of specimens supposedly valued at $60 million. A number that sounds insane until you understand how rarity, history, and error severity combine to create astronomical value. The first and most important detail to understand is that 2009 is far from an ordinary year for cents, because to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself, the Mint released 4 different reverse designs in 1 year, each representing a stage of Lincoln's life. From his humble beginnings in Kentucky to his professional and political rise in Illinois to his leadership in Washington, and this alone already makes 2009 cents. Interesting, but when you combine 4 reverse designs with large-scale circulation production at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, as well as special collector-only copper alloy versions, and the economic recession causing issues in production timing and material consistency, you get the perfect environment for mistakes, and mistakes in coin collecting are where the magic begins. With the Denver Mint in particular, there were persistent reports within the coin community of die preparation inconsistencies, rushed polishing, feeder finger scratches, off-center setups, mishubbed impressions and striking pressure variations, and while most of these issues resulted in minor imperfections that slipped through unnoticed, some produced extreme varieties that only appear in a microscopic fraction of coins. And this is where the $60 million legend of the ultra-rare 2009 AD error emerges. Collectors believe that a small group of 2009 AD cents, possibly fewer than 4 to 6 examples, show a catastrophic combination of multiple major errors happening at once, errors so severe that the coins aren't just rare, they're essentially one-of-one anomalies created by an impossible chain of events, and when you get a coin like that, a coin that shouldn't logically exist, its value skyrockets because it becomes a treasure unlike anything else in the series. Some of the reported features that make these 2009 AD pennies so valuable include double-struck impressions with strong overlapping details, severe die misalignments causing distorted Lincoln profiles, dramatic off-center strikes that still show full-date visibility, improperly annealed planches giving the coin odd color shifts and grainy textures, multilayer plating defects causing peeling edges or exposed zinc patches, broad strikes creating wide, smooth rims, over-polished dies eliminating key design elements, and in the most extreme claimed example, a mule error where a Denver obverse die was paired with an incorrect reverse orientation or possibly even a reverse from a different commemorative stage, though this exact specimen remains debated because the few collectors who claim to have seen it describe it differently every time, which only fuels the mystery and hype surrounding it. The value debate intensifies because the 2009 AD series already produced countless minor errors, repunched mint marks, die chips on Lincoln's eye or bow tie, cracks running across the shield or log cabin lines, plating blisters forming unusual bubble patterns, clash marks around the edges of Lincoln's coat, faint doubling on the motto or date, but the $60 million tier isn't about these common varieties. It's about the extreme, nearly impossible combinations that show multiple unrelated mint failures happening at once, the kind of event that statistically should never happen, and when collectors believe something has that level of impossibility, the value can soar into the tens of millions, especially when there are rumors of private collectors already offering extraordinary amounts through unpublicized channels. What pushes the excitement further is that 2009 AD cents are everywhere, and most people assume they're worthless because so many were produced, meaning that an extremely valuable piece could easily be sitting inside a jar, drawer, or old coin pile without anyone realizing the truth, creating the thrill of possibility that drives the huge interest in this topic, because everyone loves the idea that a life-changing treasure could be hiding in plain sight. Another factor that increases the appeal is that some of the rarest errors are almost invisible to the naked eye and require magnification to confirm, meaning it's entirely possible that a $60 million specimen has already passed through hundreds of hands unnoticed, its owner unaware of the unusual texture variations, die clash remnants, metal flow lines or doubling patterns that make it priceless. And then there's the human factor, the tendency for stories, rumors, and reported sightings of extraordinary coins to become part of collecting culture, and once a coin becomes a legend, its value increases simply because of the mythology around it. The 2009 AD cent has now reached that level, with collectors whispering about rumored private sales, supposedly lost specimens, alleged authentication attempts gone wrong, and the idea that the rarest of these coins might only be confirmed decades from now when someone finally uncovers one in pristine condition tucked away in an old roll. The potential for such a discovery adds adrenaline to the hunt, and the more hype grows, the more collectors watch the market, pushing prices on even ordinary 2009 AD errors higher, which in turn strengthens the belief that the peak example could truly be worth $60 million. Even experts admit that the unusual production environment of 2009 makes it entirely possible that undocumented extreme errors occurred, and the Denver Mint's history with occasional quality control lapses only supports the theory, but the biggest reason the top specimens could command such an outrageous value is scarcity. Because if even one verified coin exhibits multiple major errors from a rare combination of mechanical failures during a transitional year, its uniqueness alone produces an astronomical price ceiling, especially among collectors who view one-of-a-kind errors as priceless relics of minting history. And that's why the story fascinates so many people. It merges real minting science, historical context, error-collecting passion, mystery, rumor, rarity, and the dream of life-changing discovery into one tiny piece of metal that could be sitting anywhere in the world right now, waiting for someone with sharp eyes to finally recognize it. So as you go through your change or your old jars and albums, remember that 2009 was not just a commemorative year, it was a chaotic and experimental year, a year that created countless variations and left the door open for the existence of a truly extraordinary 2009 D1 cent coin whose extreme error combination could justify a value people compare to $60 million. And the possibility that such a coin could still be out there is precisely what keeps collectors searching, wondering, and dreaming, because with coins like this you never know what surprises history has left behind for you to find.